Okay, YouTube. Today's top 10 is going to be on rarest submachine guns of World War II. Now, most people know about the Tommy gun, the MP40, and the Soviet PPSH-41, but this list is going to be the rarest of the rare, the rarest SMGs from World War II that you probably never knew about until you watched this video. So let's start. Number 10 is the Chinese Tsingtao Arsenal model 1927. The Tsingtao Arsenal M1927 was the Chinese version of the German MP18 from World War One, but with the magazine well facing down. The only real difference is the caliber. Well, not really. The caliber for this gun is 7.63 millimeter Mauser. For the MP18, most MP18s, original MP18s slash MP28s were chambered for 9mm parabellum. So this gun was made by the Chinese nationalists under Chiang Kai-shek. They're pretty much extremely rare, so you probably will never see one of these guns in an auction. They can be found at Chinese military museums throughout China. But that's pretty much it. The next submachine gun is the Swiss SIG MKMS and the MKMO, which are basically the same gun, just one is a carbine and one is a full-length submachine gun carbine. These submachine guns were sold to Finland and the Japanese puppet state of Macau. These submachine guns are extremely rare. Only 1,200 are made. So they're pretty hard to come by if you're one of those gun collectors out there. I'm pretty sure most of you have probably never heard of this submachine gun at all. So yeah, I had to put it on this list because I thought it was interesting looking. It reminds me of the Hungarian Danuvia M43 submachine gun. So yeah, this is another ultra rare SMG and no one really knows about. The next gun is the Finnish Sumi KP26. The KP26 was the predecessor to the Sumi K31 submachine gun that everyone knows about whenever they research the winter war between Finland and the Soviet Union. Except this gun is chambered for a 7.65mm parabellum. It was chambered for it fired from a 36 round magazine, 600 rounds per minute. Only about 1,000 of these guns were ever made, and they are mostly issued to rear guard. Some did see frontline use, but other than that, these are extremely rare SMGs, and they're pretty much one of the rarest Finnish guns from the Second World War. The next submachine gun is the Japanese Nambu Type 2. The Nambu Type 2 was a Japanese limited production submachine gun. Only about 500 were ever made. Now, they were made in the mid to late 30s. They are mostly issued to special forces. So, for the Japanese Imperial Naval Special Forces troops. Yeah, these submachine guns are ultra rare. Only like a handful of them have survived the war out of the 500. So yeah, pretty rare. The next submachine gun is the Japanese Nambu Type 1. The Nambu Type 1 was the first telescoping bolt submachine gun. If you're a fan of the Israeli Uzi, this gun is pretty much the great-great-great-grandfather of that gun. Only about 200 of these guns were made for the highest estimate I ever heard is 200. Standard estimate is about 50 to 100. But these submachine guns are ultra rare, and they were mostly issued to Japanese assault commanders in China. So only a handful of photographs, and only about a handful of these guns survived. Only about 2 photographs I've ever seen of these guns anywhere. So another extremely rare Japanese submachine gun, and the rarest Japanese submachine gun to be exact. The next submachine gun is the Chinese Mukden Arsenal Type 2. The Mukden arsenal was a Chinese copy of the Japanese Type 2 mentioned earlier, except this was chambered in a 45 ACP. It's pretty much a Chinese version of the Tommy gun based on a Japanese gun. These are issued to the Machaco Puppet Army of Japan, which is the portion of Manchuria that Japan controlled during World War II. Not many of these are made. The highest estimate I've ever read was about 2 to 300, so these are pretty rare. They were made at the very end of World War II, around 1944, 1945. So these were issued for Chinese troops, Chinese collaboration troops who were fighting against the Soviet Union when they invaded in 1945. The next submachine gun is the Finnish Lott M22, or the Lahti, I don't know how you pronounce it, the Lott M22. It was a limited production submachine gun from 1922, and it was the first Finnish submachine gun ever designed. According to history, this gun was based on the German MP-18 and the Swiss Fauer M1919 prototype submachine gun. This submachine gun was chambered in 6.5 21mm parabellum. Was fed by 28 36 round magazines. Only 125 of these Lahti M22s were ever made, so these are pretty much the rarest Finnish gun that you will probably ever hear about anywhere. They were mostly issued to Finnish soldiers in the rear guard. I'm not sure if they ever saw frontline use during the Winter War in Finland. But yeah, this is the rarest Finnish gun and the rarest, probably one of the rarest submachine guns from European history to be used in World War II. The next submachine gun is a Croatian gun, and it is the Croatian J Barbarous M 1944, but it's also known as the Runkerad 1. It was a limited production machine pistol / submachine gun designed in 1944 for the independent state of Croatia, which was a German puppet state on the Eastern Front. Only about 20 of these guns were ever made, so these are like super rare, and only like one that I know of exists in the Belgrade Military Museum in Serbia. It was, this gun was captured by Serbian / Soviet troops during the joint Soviet Yugoslav counteroffensive in 1944 and 1945 against the independent state of Croatia. So, an extremely rare Baltic gun, Balkan gun, Balkan firearm. So yeah. The next gun is the rarest German submachine gun. This submachine gun is called the Irma Gert Model 1944, but it's also called the Irma Gert 34 for some reason. I don't know why. This was a German last-ditch prototype belt-fed telescopic bolt submachine gun. It was chambered for 9mm parabellum, the standard German round. It was basically like a miniature MG34 / MG42. It could also be fed with stick magazines from the MP40 submachine gun. So yeah, this is literally the rarest German submachine gun probably in history. I'm pretty sure not even Ian from Forgotten Weapons probably has even heard of this gun. I only found one photograph. This is literally the only photograph I've ever come across. So I'm assuming probably only about 1 to 5 of these guns were ever made. So for all you German World War II enthusiasts out there, this is probably the only submachine gun you'll probably never get your hands on. The number 1 rarest gun on the list is from China, and it is the Kuomintang M1944. That's not the actual name of the gun. I call it that because that's the name of the faction that produced this gun, the Chinese nationalists or the Kuomintang. This submachine gun was literally like a Frankenstein. Not many were made. They were chambered in various calibers of 7.63 Mauser, 7.62 millimeter Tokarev, 9 millimeter Parabellum, 30 carbine, and I even heard that some were chambered in 45 ACP. These guns were made in 1944 and 1945 during the nationalist slash communist offensive against Japanese forces in northern China, along with the Soviet Union. These submachine guns were also used during the Chinese Civil War, or at least the second phase of the Chinese Civil War, from 1946 to 1951. So yeah, this KMT, which is short for Kuomintang, this KMT M1944 submachine gun is literally the rarest, or one of the rarest Chinese weapons in Chinese military history. I'm pretty sure 99% of you guys watching this video have probably never heard of any of these guns. These guns are ultra rare. You probably will never see them on the History Channel ever, or any other military documentary. If you guys have any ideas for a top 10 list, please put them in the comment section. Until